Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. It's a good day today. So, if you caught the last episode, we did a riff on some deep diving. We're going to stay in kind of that zone. I am feeling pulled to talk to you about the different levels of consciousness. And not in like a scientific kind of way, more of a surface level, I guess. But consciousness is kind of a deeper thing, so it's like surface level of the deep things. That's where we're going to go. So this is brought to you by a run, most likely, a download that I got. And just a nice reminder that the solution that you're seeking is simply another perspective. Plain and simple. So if there is something in your life that you're feeling frustrated about, something that you feel like you keep banging your head against, it's another perspective, which is a different level of consciousness is what that means. So a different perspective is the same as another level of consciousness. Now, let me break that down and make that make sense. So consciousness is the part of your brain that is actively involved in things. Your subconscious is the part of your brain that just does everything automatic. And that's where these underlying beliefs can show up, and you're like, why do I do that? Well, it's a subconscious belief. Your body runs on subconscious energies, some subconscious beliefs. That's how you can talk and walk and breathe. That's how you can drive to work and not actually know how you got there, because it's on automatic and your subconscious is doing it for you while you were thinking about something else consciously. Okay? So these two brains operate together. The conscious mind is the one who is actively choosing. Okay, your brain wants to make as many things as possible automatic. And so that's why it will kind of hijack things and tap into these beliefs and make them true. That is why when I do my work with my clients, I say, is this the truth or is this true? Because if it's the truth, that's one thing. But if this is just true, we need to look at that belief and reframe it. Okay. So when I talk about the level of consciousness creating the problem, that level of consciousness will not know the solution. Okay? It is like being at a conscious level of, let's say, a 5-year-old, right? And your 5-year-old wreaks havoc, right? Like, let's say that they just totally trash the house. I don't know, right? In your 5-year-old's mind, conscious mind, they drew a picture and it was beautiful, right? They don't care that it was on the wall. It was a beautiful picture, right? And to them, that is not a problem. And so they're not going to seek a solution to that. However, at your conscious level of, let's say, 32, right? Whatever age you are, right? You see that as a problem. And so where you are will provide solutions. Okay. Depending on the stage of my motherhood, I probably would have lost my shit. Right now, I think it's a little bit more entertaining, and I probably would frame it, because I did see that on someone had done that on Instagram. Their kid had drawn on the wall, and instead of making them erase it, they just framed it with like a little plaque like they do in art museums. And I was like, that is so friggin' funny. I love that. I wouldn't have loved that years ago when I was living in my own world of survival, right? But that's the point, right? A different level of consciousness. And if consciousness is not landing for you, I like to use the word perspective. I am always open to other people's perspectives because I find them so fascinating. And chances are I'm going to learn from someone else's perspective, even if I really, really don't like that perspective, right? I stay open-minded. There's very few people that I will argue with. My children will tell you otherwise. possibly. But I don't necessarily argue. I like to debate more than anything else. Also probably why I wanted to go to law school. Nevertheless, not my path, right? And so it's the solution that you're seeking is simply a different perspective. And I love when these come through, and they come through powerfully for me. And I love them even more when I bring a client into this, right? And so what does this mean? A perspective shift. A perspective shift means, one, you have to be open to being wrong. Sorry, not sorry, right? If you believe that you are inherently right all of the time, and that your way is the only way, you will never ever see something from a different point of view. And that limits you. That means that you won't ever see a solution to your problem differently than what you've been trying to do, which, oh, by the way, is just going to make you bang your head against the wall. And it's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing and expecting different results. If you want to get off the crazy train and stop being insane, it will require you to be open to being wrong. Yes, it will. So, what do I mean by this? All right, so prime example. I remember these moments because they are just etched in my DNA now. I was early in my Ph.D. program. My husband had just been deployed. I was the mom of the two older ones at that time. And I was trying to do all the things. I was utterly overwhelmed. But I was also trying to begin a health and fitness journey. Because I was feeling crappy, and I was like, you know what, I need to eat better for myself. I need to get back into exercise because it just makes me feel so much better. And there was this woman that I was following on Facebook, and she posted this print, whatever it was, right? Like a free thing off the internet. And it said, if it's important to you, you'll find the time. If not, you'll find an excuse. And I remember being so annoyed by that post. I wanted to send her a message and just scream at her. But instead, I reflected on it. And I thought, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I could learn something from this moment. And it was amazing what began to unfold just from that single post. And instead of reacting and screaming at this woman, who, by the way, didn't even know who I was, right? I instead allowed it to start to change me and shift me and give me a different perspective. A different level of consciousness was birthed from that triggering, I don't even like that word, that activating moment. Because I did a full stop and was like, well, shoot. These are the things that I'm saying are important to me, but I can't seem to find the time to do them. So maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I'm incorrect here, and there is a different way that could actually get me where I really want to go. And so I allowed myself to be wrong, and I chose a different way. I started to look at things very differently. Thus, a new level of consciousness, right? So if there is a situation that you feel like you keep coming up against, weight loss, money, your coaching business, your job, like whatever it is, if you feel like you keep getting stuck in these same kind of situations, you have to have a different perspective. A different perspective is what's actually going to get you out of that looping lesson, as we'll call it, right? And allow you to see things differently and heal it once and for all. So, the very first thing that is required here, if you are willing to grow and change, one is the awareness. Sometimes it takes someone else to bring it to your awareness for it to land and you be like, oh yeah, shoot, right? And it can be something. I was talking with someone the other day, and she was commenting about how her teenage son seems to just complain all the time. And as I continued talking to her, she realized that the annoyance with her son complaining was actually because she found herself complaining about stuff. And she kind of had this like gut reaction where she was like, oh shit. And I have had similar reactions to my children, where I'm like, oh crap. Like that, if they're doing that and it's irritating me, am I the one who's showing them that behavior? Because I do believe that my children are mirrors, and they are a great way for me to see what I need to work on, what I need to heal. They are also excellent teachers for those kinds of things. I learn from my kids as much as they learn from me. It's a beautiful dynamic. And so it was just like the awareness. You've got to see it first. It's got to be put in front of you first. And then you can actively choose to change it. And that will take some time. It will take some behavioral changes because, again, your mind wants to do as much on autopilot as possible. And so it does require some slowing down, some tuning in, having a conversation with yourself. You can check out the previous episode. I went a little bit deeper into the mind, body, and soul connection, but it was enjoyable. I loved it. I hope you did too. So when it comes to these kinds of things, again, if you find yourself looping in all of these similar problems again and again and again, it's time for a different level of consciousness. You have to be willing to be wrong. Okay? The awareness, the willingness to be wrong, and then choosing how you actually want to respond. And you've got to choose how you want to respond, not when you're in the situation, because your emotions are high, your intelligence is low in the situation, but choose ahead of time, right? So next time, for me, right? Next time I feel myself overgiving, what do? Well, instead of losing my shit on my family, which I didn't, I just got real quiet and was like, don't even bother me, right? RBF was on, don't even bother me. I was acting very childish, it's fine. But now I can look at it and say, you know what? I should have just stepped away and been like, I need a few minutes. I didn't realize I overgave so much. I've got to just pour into myself for a few minutes and then I'll come back and I'll be fine, right? And so again, the awareness, willingness to be wrong, and then choosing how you want to respond outside of the situation. Because when you're in the situation and your emotions are high, you're not going to be able to choose, hey, don't scream at the kid in the moment because it's just on autopilot potentially, right? So if this helped, I would love if you would like or subscribe or share, tag me on Instagram and share and let me know that you listened to it. Would totally appreciate that. And if you are interested in working with me, I do have activation sessions, which are singular sessions. They are 50 minutes. I think they're 50 minutes, 50 to 60 minutes, where we dive into a single thing. And I'm going to shift you and I'm going to show you all these different perspectives. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible because I can ask those really deep questions that will make you see things differently for your own benefit. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. And as always, be you because the world needs more of you.